Make no mistake about it. When we're teaching the dog and we're introducing this tool, I use low-level stuff, right? I'm teaching the dog at low levels, right? What the e-collar means, how to turn it off, how to avoid it. As we get deeper into the training and we start hitting that intermittent phase, now we have to add a little bit more pressure. We have to make it a little more aversive so it's worth the dog avoiding, not just escaping, okay? Where people really struggle is, again, let's say their training's going really well. You always hear people say, my dog works on a 6, that's his working level. That's fine, but that means at your house, in your backyard with nothing around. That's not going to have the same impact when you go into the real world, okay? So where they struggle is they'll go out into the real world, they'll go out to the park, they take the leash off their dog because they're so confident of how the dog was responding at home, and they'll keep it on the same level that they were training in their backyard. Or maybe if it was working on a 6, they say, you know what, I'm going to double it and go up to a 12. Guess what? That's still going to be ineffective. There's not much difference between a 6 and a 12 if you're using the e-collar I use, right? It's just not very aversive to the dog when the drives change and they're in the real world. So what people will do is they'll put their dog in a situation where now they need the e-collar because the dog's blowing them off, and they hit that e-collar and they get nothing. Now they have to go up higher, they hit it, they get nothing. They go up higher, nothing, until they get some kind of response. Here's the problem with that. For one, you lost the training and the learning opportunity. Your timing is way off, you took way too long, you didn't take advantage on teaching the dog at the most important moment where he's truly going to learn. Also, if you start trying to stop unwanted behaviors at a low level and have to keep increasing, the dog is going to adapt to take the highest level corrections and not give a damn. Like, you will fail there, right? You're preparing your dog to take the highest level corrections and not give a damn. It's going to be ineffective, all right? So when it comes to stopping behaviors, especially in the real world, again, this is why you want to spend time in that intermittent phase. This is where you're preparing the dog for that. Okay, if you go from the conditioning phase and you're working in single digits, then you let your dog go in the woods and it chases a deer and you think you're going to stop it, and you're trying to go up in levels, you're going to have a problem, okay? To stop behaviors, we want it to be aversive enough to where the dog wants to escape it and wants to avoid it the next time, okay? I'll give you an example, right? This is a video I just posted not too long ago on my YouTube channel. I always have this little female Rottweiler named Rhodey with me. Adore this dog. I do a lot of work with her. She stays with me a lot when her family's traveling. All the training that Rhodey went through was no different than any other dog, and she's very intense when it comes to other dogs, and she will fight a dog, okay? All my training was the same. All the obedience was the same. When I finally got to the e-collar, it was no different. But now that we're towards the end of that intermittent phase and it's time to prove things in the real world, just like many dogs, Rhodey works on single digits at my home. That's where we taught her. Once I hit that intermittent phase and we went out on walks and stuff, now I start bumping it up and putting a little more pressure on her, so I teach her how to avoid that. But the last step was taking her outside the dog park. Not in the dog park, but outside the dog park. Plenty of dogs, plenty of people. I put her on a 50-foot line. So if you watch the video, you see I'm just letting Rhodey run around and be a dog. And every now and then I'm calling her, no e-collar, Rhodey, come, and she's coming to me, and I'm just praising that, telling her good job, and then releasing her, letting her be a dog, okay? But now all of a sudden, there's one dog that she says, you know what? I want that dog. All the other ones I didn't care too much about, but that dog I want. So what did Rhodey do? She took off. I didn't say no and try to punish that. I gave her the opportunity. So before she hit the end of that 50-foot line, again, you can watch the video, I said, Rhodey, come. She has the opportunity. All she has to do is come to me, and she avoids any type of correction. Well, guess what Rhodey did? She said, not this time. This dog is so close to me, I'm going to get it. The second she decided not to respond immediately to the recall, I tapped that e-collar one time, she hit the brakes and came flying back to me, right? Not with her head down, not scared, not with her little nub tucked. She was totally normal. Why was she normal? She knew exactly what happened. I prepared her for that moment, right? She went from being trained on low-level stuff, single digits, then maybe just a little bit more in that intermittent phase. Guess where the e-collar was set when we got to the park? Set. I didn't look for the level. It was set on a 50, right? Way higher than she had ever felt. But why was it set so high? Halfway to the end. It wasn't on 100, it was on 50. I know that dog. I know how intense she is. It's important to know the dog you're working with, whether it's your own dog or a client's dog. Before you put the dog in that situation, you should know that dog inside and out. You should know when it's going to poop and what the poop's going to look like. You should know how the dog's going to respond when it sees something, right? That's who she is to me. So I had it already set on a 50. So when she said, "No, Uncle Larry, I don't want to come to you right now," I just said, "Tap real quick," and she came flying back. At that moment, I went and I started talking to the camera, and people asked, "Hey, did you do anything after that?" Because she's acting totally normal, and there's people and dogs walking around. She should act normal. I trained her. I prepared her for that moment, right? She knew how to escape that high level correction, but now the next time she knows how to avoid it. Remember, escape avoidance training, right? Teach with the low levels. Teach the language, okay? I love boxing. I grew up boxing. But if my dad would have put me in the boxing ring day one and had someone drop my ass, knock me out, I would have never got back in the ring again, right? They prepare you as a little kid, right? You practice, you train, you have little sparring matches, right? They help you win. I cheat with these dogs to help them succeed in the beginning. I'm always going to cheat to help them succeed. Then later on, I'm going to set them up to fail. I have to have them fail if they're going to learn for a lifetime of results, right? I'll probably never have to do that to Rhodey again. It was one time. If I did, it would be one or two more times. But now she knows, not only does she know how to avoid it, she wants to avoid it, okay? All these little things are really important, folks. Don't skip any steps, okay? Peace.